You're live. Sorry. How you doing? How you doing? Okay. Oh, can you say something or?
Hello?
Now I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. You know how things go, from time to time it's like, man, try to get one thing going and then it's like the other and then here comes somebody doing the funky chicken and all the
I understand.
How's your day? How's everything?
It's been busy. I do taxes, so it's my tax season and then clients with PPP stuff. So just last minute people trying to get their stuff done.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let me know when you are ready. And
so how does this work? Let me know. What's your platform? How you ask questions? How do you do?
Well, actually, currently you're live now. so I'm just letting you know this now. We just just letting you know, just in case you say something else, okay?
I'm a blonde, sorry.
Okay, no problem. So your audio, you're let me know when you're ready.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. So 3, 2, 1. Good evening and welcome to the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station. I'm your host, Roman, and we have a good show planned for you today. Please don't forget to stay tuned to IntellectualRadio.com after the Drive at 5 for Warriors Talk with Rochelle at 6 p.m. With love and inspiration she spreads throughout the week to bring a smile on your face. Tonight, my guest via Zoom is an entrepreneur who turned a tragic loss of her son to help other mothers who are grieving through candle making. On Mother's Day, she will conduct a candle making class and healing session for mothers affected by gun violence. Please give a Drive at 5 welcome to Sharita Talbert. Welcome to the Drive.
Hi.
How are you today?
I am blessed. Thank you for having me.
So please give IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station your background.
Well, I'm Sarita. My background is, first and foremost, I'm a mother. I unfortunately lost my son in 2017 to gun violence. At that time, or shortly thereafter, I launched the Roman Morrow Fund, with my brother, who we also lost a brother 20 years prior to gun violence. One of the initiatives that we started was Read 360, in which I create candles. It started off as a healing exercise for myself and has just now kind of blossomed into its own business. A portion of all
your proceeds.
Proceeds, yes, I'm like products. Proceeds goes back to the Tupper Memorial Fund to be able to fund the Mother's Day event that we're doing on Saturday.
You created this event because of your 21-year-old son was killed due to gun violence. Tell us about the event and how it helped mothers whose loved ones were killed due to gun violence.
So this will be my third Mother's Day without my son. And even from the very first Mother's Day after he passed away, I knew that I had to stay doing something active, because going through battling depression and finding myself in a dark space, especially on a day which is supposed to be very joyous, I again started making candles, and I'm very transparent with my social media family, and found that other mothers tended to gravitate towards me and not being able to really express how they felt after losing their child. So this Saturday allows us to be just in a very creative space. The scents, the smells all kind of work towards your emotions and feelings, and just being in a place where you have others who've journeyed on the same path and know that this is kind of a hard day or a hard season or moment for you. I've learned just being around other mothers, it makes us kind of feel good. We're able to talk to each other, a certain language that one who's not experienced the death of a child is able to kind of relate. Everybody could kind of empathize with us. However, to like just really understand, sometimes it's not good for us to be on social media and see the celebration. You know, I'm very transparent in saying it sometimes makes me jealous or mad or angry. And so when I'm able to be around other mothers, we're there to just rally each other and cheer each other on.
One key element in your event is receiving support from other mothers who face a similar loss due to gun violence. Explain to us about the importance of having a support mechanism with someone who had a similar loss.
Whew. Number one is health purposes, health reasons. If you don't allow yourself to express how you feel, as Black women, we are considered strong. We hold it all together. However, the problem becomes we internalize it. Our stress rates, we get anxiety. And so, again, this is opportunity for other mothers to verbally. I've met mothers who have never said their child's name after they passed away. It was just too hard for them to do it. A lot of times we see things on social media, on TV, and in my case, I had an issue with, was I grieving improperly? Because how I grieved, I did not see other people grieving it, meaning I felt like I had to be active. I had to do something. I constantly say my son's name. I'm constantly reading, asking questions. Grief therapy helped me a ton just of talking. And I know sometimes parents, mothers especially, we have a whole family still we have to deal with, so we don't really express ourselves. So to be able to give them a space where they could come, scream, cry, yell, and they're not going to feel judged. They're not going to feel awkward, because heck, one starts crying, we'll all probably start crying.
You mentioned about the grieving process and interpreting and the grieving process, because you said you were depressed and you thought you was grieving wrong. Is a lot of people say, well, that person is grieving, you know, just let her or him be. They just interpret their grief another way. Did you feel that way? And how did you feel when someone because you said your own thought process was you were grieving the wrong way.
Well, when you look at
instead of like the normal, you thought that maybe you should grieve the normal way, but
there is no normal way. And that's the thing is in my case, perception of what a grieving mother looks like. I've only really seen it on TV, right? My mother, when we lost my brother to gun violence, she was a very strong, I think I seen her cry the day we found out he was murdered. I never really seen my mother cry after that. And part of it was because she said, I still have you and your brother and your dad. I still had to hold it together for the family. So I thought you're supposed to be this, you cry that 1 week or whatever, and then, you may have little bouts or let me go hide somewhere and cry. No, I could be out in public with my friends. Something would trigger me. And I thought something was wrong with me, that how come I can't be the strong person that I've interpreted other people to be? And I realized that everyone grieves differently. I grieve out loud. So even in my grief, I'm laughing sometimes. Again, I post happy stuff on my page, but I also post when I'm angry and upset. And it can be small little things that trigger me. A Facebook memory will pop up and I'll just lose it. And then I get myself together. But my support system recognizes, and it's an energy thing, when they see if I'm not answering my phone for long periods of time or kind of avoiding text messages or returning calls, they'll pop up to make sure that I'm okay. Because sometimes we don't want to bother people because we may be going through a moment. And I don't want to call somebody at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. But now I've learned it's okay for me to do that. And my girlfriends, my family are there for me. And I think people need to know that, especially when you've lost a child to gun violence, the problem is unless they find somebody and convict someone, I'm still dealing with an open wound of not knowing why, who, what, when, why, how come. So I can't even really begin to grieve because there's a part of me that is still missing. And then we still dealing with police investigation, to be told, nothing's happening, no movement, can really weigh on us. And again, to be around other women who know exactly how I feel. I mean, it's a different type of comfort. But it's also letting them know to make sure that if you don't have a good support system within your family or friendship, that here's another network of women who understands and we get it, and you don't have to make an excuse for it.
Getting back to what you said about your son was killed due to gun violence and it was unsolved. Does that weigh a ton on the grief? Like, it takes a toll on the grief, and you have to deal with the officers, and they say, I understand how you feel, but you saying, no, you don't. Can you explain that and tell the audience on IntellectualRadio.com when a police person or someone says, I understand, I sympathize of what you're going through. However, we're still working on it. And you're like, you're not moving fast enough. I'm ready to, it's kind of like, this is a burden on me. You just don't understand. So can you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, like I mentioned before, this isn't my first rodeo of losing someone close with my brother. Though everything is very parallel, almost exact. Again, it's a 20-year difference. The way that the police handled it back then was much more different than how they're handling it now. My brother was murdered a few months before he was getting ready to go to the Navy. And it happened in our town of Markham, Illinois. Small town. My mom, my aunts and uncles, we were present at every single court case. So they seen the presence that the family had, and they were on it. Fortunately, they were able to find the gentleman immediately. It was just, we just put pressure on them to kind of move through the court system. In my case, my son was lured out to University Park and shot in a remote area. So what we've been dealing with is the only African, really American city in Will County. So you have hardly any police on this force or detectives. So they have to rely on the Will County Task Force, which is made up of predominantly Caucasians. And so they, while they deal with murders, unfortunately, all the time, the problem is that they've become, I won't say unsympathetic, they just don't have the bedside manners because they're so conditioned to what they deal with. So it's just strategic for them to automatically say, we know what you're dealing with because they dealt with other families. And I had to remind them, yeah, but we're not those other families. We need communication. And that's what we're kind of running into that we don't get, is that communication, because they're pointing fingers over here, they're pointing fingers over there. Then COVID hit. So then everything kind of shut down. The police chief that was originally on my son's case has now left. There's a new one. She's a lot more better. So we've at least, created a rapport with her, where she's not going to just tell me stuff just because, but at the same time, I need to know that there's some movement. So we'll be speaking with her within the next week or so. And I'm very understanding. There's certain things that are completely out of their realm. A lot of it has to deal with technology. So things that aren't immediately that they're able to do, they have to wait. And that's the part that, literally on a day-to-day basis, again, without having some type of closure to build healing from, right now, I'm just going through the motions. I just tell people, I have my moments, but I don't think I could really heal until I know something or we have some type of forward motion, because I don't want to get my energy and, emotions built up. So it's just like a safe mechanism for me for right now.
The number one thing that stood out in your event, according to your release, is honoring a loved one's legacy. In this event, you will have a discussion regarding a legacy project. Tell us about the legacy project and how it will help loved ones in a that had a loved one perish due to gun violence, and kind of like preserve their legacy at the same time.
For me, my son left a child that he didn't know. We found out that he had a 3-year-old 6 months after he passed away. And so it was very important for me to let my grandson know, one, how amazing his father was. He touched a lot of people. He was literally a light. And he was about 6 months shy from finishing his bachelor's in audio engineering and recording from Tribeca University. So I wanted something that my grandson could remember his father by. So we're working on a scholarship program now. I also donated my son's organs through the Gift of Hope. So he was able to save 2 people with his kidneys and hundreds more with his skin graft. So my grandson understands that his father was a superhero. He saved lives. We've planted trees in my son's honor. And these are like just tangible things when it comes to leaving a legacy. Outside of that is why we started this foundation on behalf of my brother and my son to, again, bring awareness to the opposite side of gun violence, the feelings, the healings. Excuse me. We're also doing something for fathers because they don't get recognized like they should. So it's starting something, taking that pain and turning it into something positive that will affect a whole nother generation. So in this case, my grandson knows that everything that I do, I'm doing it in honor of his father. because while he was still here on earth, he always was with the elderly, his grandparents, his great-grandfather. And so to listen to other people tell me how my son affected them, my grandson needs to know that. So me being able to show my son in a different light versus him just knowing my father was murdered is a legacy for my grandson to be proud of for his father. So those are some of the things that we'll talk about at the event on Saturday.
Also, you have created a memorial fund called Jalen Journey to honor the life and memory of your son. Tell us about the fund, memorial fund, regarding in your son's honor.
So the overall fund is a Tauber Memorial Fund for both my brother and my son. Jalen's Journey is an initiative of the Tauber Memorial Fund in which on Father's Day, I'll be honoring fathers because, again, they don't get that, I believe, love and support that us mothers do. And so I want to be able to normalize that Black men cry, Black men grieve, Black men go get help and seek therapy because they too have lost a child. We also are doing an event later in the summer for fatherless children and merging that gap between fathers who have lost a child and children who have lost their father and have a family fun day right before school starts. So those are two initiatives that we're doing underneath Jalen's Journey.
In the press release, you mentioned about the emotional roller coaster, which I think you touched upon earlier in the conversation, experience while going through the pain of losing a loved one due to gun violence. If someone who is listening to IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station, what advice you would give to someone who is currently facing that emotional roller coaster?
Hold on and just go through it. And know that it's okay to, if it just hits you randomly, acknowledge those emotions instead of suppressing them, pushing them down, being embarrassed if you start crying. I don't think people should be embarrassed for how they feel, especially if you lost a child. That doesn't necessarily mean, if you're in the grocery store, and I've had that happen to me before, I feel myself just getting overwhelmed. I see a box of cereal my son would eat, and I just all of a sudden, and I would have to leave my basket, go to my car and regroup, and then come back in the store. I used to feel embarrassed because I come in there, face still, weathered from crying. Now I don't care because that's my child. So I'm not embarrassed about how I feel. And again, it's just those roller coasters. They come, they hit you.
Did it take you, and I'm sorry to interrupt, did it take you a process, like a long process of getting I don't care, I'll just cry whenever? At first you said you were embarrassed, you had to go to your car and do the shopping, or basically you would probably allow somebody else do the shopping for you because the pain, because any memory or something will trigger it. So did it take a process in getting that way?
Probably the first 2 weeks of loss, because you're still wait, what just happened? For me, when I see the roller coaster is, I can go into the grocery store right now and be fine. We're having this conversation and I'm not getting emotionally, but I can have a conversation after you with someone else, and out of the blue, we can say the exact same thing and the emotions just start coming. That's what I mean by roller coaster. You have your ups and downs, twists and turns. And so I think when it comes to Mother's Day, holidays, any days of celebration, for me, I know I'm off sometimes weeks or days leading up to. The day of, I think just strategically in my mind, I'm fine. But yeah, after the first 2 weeks, I just kind of felt embarrassed and I would go to my car. I really didn't have nobody to do shopping for me because, again, I didn't know when the emotion would hit. Now, if I'm at work or if I'm out in the public and I'll cry. I'll just cry. And when someone asks, are they okay? If I'm with someone, they'll say, oh, she lost her son, she's just having a moment. Or I tell them, I lost my child, something just triggered me and give me a minute. And again, it's just that moment. Sometimes the moment can last a moment or it can last all day.
Also, you describe the Mother's Day without hearing your son's voice. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. You made that a rallying cry to do something to help other mothers that's in your shoes, so to speak. Explain to us the determination of moving forward in creating this event, because there were some obstacles. So explain the determination in creating this event.
My determination is so I don't go backwards. My determination is so I don't fall into a deep depression. So long as I'm doing something for someone else, especially for, again, those who are journeying on the same path. And it's not necessarily from gun violence too. I know mothers who've lost children to car accidents, to suicide, to domestic violence. It's, for me, first and foremost, I don't want to be in a space where it's like an idle mind is the devil's playground. So I have to do something. My mind has to be constantly spinning, because in those quiet moments, again, something can trigger and I can lose a day or 2 days because I'm just drained from just crying or just emotionally spent. So being able to put together an event, I'm not just thinking about myself, I'm thinking about other mothers and how are they feeling, how are they going to get through this day. And a lot of it just comes from people, coming to me, asking me how to deal with grief or how to, how to feel. And I can't tell someone how to feel, but what I know I can do is at least try to put a smile on their face, try to make them feel good, at least for the moment, and think of their child in a great positive energy space way where, again, making these candles, the scents, the aromas, they do something to you. You feel good. You feel kind of upbeat. So those are the memories that I want when they leave this event, to feel good, because on Sunday, on Mother's Day, it may not bother some people. And for some others, it may, but they can go and light that candle and feel good about what they just creatively did to honor their child.
You described this event as a journey in a brief moment to bless them with a smile on their face, as you just mentioned. If a mother walks out of this event with a smile on her face, you think your goal has been met?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe that if she's able to walk out, she's, at least for, again, that day, I've been able to pause those emotions of loss and fill them with emotions of remembrance and good thoughts about their child. So if everyone, we may be in tears, but they'll be happy tears. And at least they'll also leave knowing that they have the support and a network of new women that, they can call upon, that will share their, or have similar feelings of how to deal with whatever emotion they may be dealing with the next day or the day after or a year from now.
As a mother, you watch the news and seeing and hearing gun violence all around Chicago and abroad. What you want to say about the increase in violence in Black on Black crime? What you want to say now, as you have an opportunity to do on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station, you see this, you see what's going on, and coming from a mother who's been there, and you see other mothers, and you're like, it gotta stop. What you say?
Whew. Well, 30 days after my son passed away, I held a private dinner at my home for about 25, 30 of his closest friends, family. And I just wanted to check in with them to see how they felt, how they were doing, because Jalen was like that nucleus amongst his friends and family. So he was the least person that his crew would have even thought something like this can happen. So it was a wake-up call for them. One of the things that they shared with me is that we could create all these great, wonderful programs for young men who, this is the generation that who's doing the killing. And they said, what's missing, what we've not been taught, is conflict resolution. We don't know how to deal with someone. We don't know how to talk to each other. We don't know how to receive constructive criticism. And lastly, we don't know how to grieve or cry. It's every day for them. It's PTSD for them. They grow up, they see it, it happens. So the problem, and they were around here crying to see men in their 20s, mid-20s say, I didn't know he started crying, so is it okay if I can cry? Because they're seen as weak or less than of a man if they show any emotion. And they said, if you adults can change that perception and that we see different, so then we can do different. But you all can create all these amazing programs and we'll work it and we'll do it. But let someone say something negative to us, then the first thing we're doing is pulling out a gun because we don't know conflict resolution. And that's the part that I'm still working with them to figure out, what does that look like? Because they're the only ones that's going to be able to tell us how to help them. We can do it, or we can create things, but if, again, they're saying that it doesn't matter at the end of the day, you all need to give us those fundamental life building blocks. So I don't have an answer specifically for that, other than I do keep my ear to the street and talk to the young men. I try and place them, again, with certain resources. And a lot of them don't come from a good background, good family, so they don't even have the mothering. My neighbor, she takes in young men all the time. She's done it ever since I've lived next to her. Her grandson was murdered back in February, who happens to be G Herbo's best friend. So, and I've known Herbie. And again, their mindset, he's just like, I'm glad I'm out of Chicago. He has 2 children now, but for his best friend to be murdered, and this is someone who he was in different events. He was in, his mother had him in different things, but other boys around them, they weren't afforded some of those same opportunities. So they see somebody excelling, and these boys, they just want to take. But, a lot of it is they don't even know how to communicate or ask for help. They've not been taught.
Do you think the media plays a role in what's going on out here as a mother, as you see what's going on? How can the media assist in what's going on out in the street? You say you try to keep your finger on the pulse on some of the issues that's out there. How can the media, which can help but also hurt at the same time?
They need to talk to these young boys. They feature them. They put them on, primetime news when they're doing something wrong. Why not go into the community and really ask them, put them on Front Street? Like these young boys or their generation, they were able to stop President Trump from coming downtown. They shut down the expressway. So collectively, they know how to organize. It's just that they don't have good leadership to show them how to do that. And then if the media had a way of showcasing, hey, you all are bright, intelligent. Some of you all are at home on your games all day. Do you realize that you could go get your FAA licensing and become a operated drone, and you could work for FEMA, you can work for, some of these concert levels, like to show them you don't have to be just a rapper. A rapper is that person, but you have all the people behind the mic that is making that happen. That's why my son went to school for audio and engineering and recording. He knew I like to rap, but they're going to need somebody to do their sound mixing and engineering. But again, the media doesn't show anything outside of what's going to be glorified. And unfortunately, with social media, you have, in computers and phones, you have algorithms that are in your phone. So if they're looking at drugs, chicks, alcohol, weed, that's all that's constantly going to come up on their timeline. So they're not being exposed to anything else. And that's where the media could come in and figure out a way to expose our children, our young gentlemen, our young girls to something other than every night it's a shooting. Every night it's a shooting, because to them, that's playing like, Grand Theft Auto. It means nothing to them.
What will be the ultimate goal in this journey of mothers who endure gun violence?
Would be to be the last ones to endure it. That would be the ultimate goal.
So please give IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station where they can, the information to your event and where they can get in contact with you.
Sure. For anyone who they themselves or another mother who has lost a child, again, whether it's to gun violence, domestic violence, suicide, accident, they could go to RHEE360, and that's RHEE360.com to nominate a mother. And we will definitely reach out to the mother, make sure we send them all the information for the event on Saturday. And if anybody wants to also browse the website, they can journey on over to the store, which we have 8 scents of candles. And again, a portion of the proceeds goes back to the Talbot Memorial Fund, which helps to fund an initiative like we're doing on Saturday, as well as our upcoming initiatives later this summer.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
You.
Happy Mother's Day to you and to all the mothers out there. Don't be a stranger to the Drive at 5. I think you're doing a wonderful, wonderful work in helping other mothers and comfort them throughout their grief. So thank you, and don't be a stranger, okay?
All right. Thank you. Have a blessed one. I appreciate you.
You too. When we come back on the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station, we will have, she's a lawyer by day and a football player by night. She will tell us all about it when we come back next on the Drive at 5. Hello, how are you? Oh, can you hear us? Hi, how are you? Can you hear us? Hi, how are you? Can you hear us?
I hear you. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you right now.
Sorry about that. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for
I see the workout equipment going on back there.
Yeah, I thought I'd bring you guys into my she cave tonight.
What you say? Your sea cage?
My she cave.
Oh, okay. What that means?
My she cave is like the he cave. Men have their he cave. This is my she cave. with my workout.
Kind of like a female version of a male cave, right? Man cave, right? Oh, okay. Okay.
In their cave. Men, I don't know what they do, but women work out in their cave. This is our cave. We have a she cave.
So let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready whenever you are. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. We are back on the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station. She has a dual profession and love them both. One is inside a courtroom setting and the other on the football field. Please give Drive at 5 welcome to Michelle Dunham. Welcome to the Drive.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on.
So please give IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station your background.
So I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I went to school in Louisiana, law school in Michigan, studied a little bit abroad, started playing football here in Chicago with the flag team about 6 years ago. That led to my career as a professional football player now. I started practicing law about 8 years ago, and that's why I have the dual careers here. I love them both. I don't want to let either one
go. So tell us about the inspiration of being a lawyer by day and a football player by night.
The inspiration, it's a great way to say, yeah, I work in 9 to 5, but then I get to enjoy myself in the evening. So, it's, for me, football is a getaway from my my legal career, I guess. It's more of a let me refocus here. It's not, both careers require a lot of strategic thinking, a lot of collaboration with teams and things like that. It's just a different focus on each side. And I see the football as a getaway from the legal career. So. But I'm always happy to go back to the legal career the next day. So, yeah.
So let's say the judge makes you angry at one of the cases and stuff. Don't you take it out on the football field like, oh, I'm going to tackle somebody. I'm going to hurt somebody today. They messed with the wrong person. I had a rough day with that judge.
Well, I don't know if the judge would be a part of that. Sometimes I guess it would, but just as in your profession, we're colleagues. We try to understand why the judge would say one thing or go a certain way. So, there's not a lot after you've been seasoned. You're seasoned. That kind of stuff is just, you don't get angry at that stuff anymore. So I would say in the past, maybe now, not so much. It's more of a letting out steam from my clients.
So is it a challenge balancing both professions?
Oh, it's a must. It's a must. You have to be able to balance. You need to be one of those people that you're walking around every day with a notebook. You need to have calendars. It's because both professions require a lot of cultivation, and crafting. It's going to require a lot of discipline too. It does require a lot of discipline to juggle both careers, but it makes it easier when you enjoy doing it. So, what comes along with the football, you have to be conditioned. You have to learn plays. I'm a wide receiver, so there's a lot of studying. There's a lot of looking at footage. With the legal career, again, there's a lot of research. There's a lot of, speaking to your clients, trying to make sure you understand what they're saying, and it takes a lot of discipline and calendaring. But once you get into a routine, it's not as hard as people may think. And women, we've been doing that we've always done that. Women have always juggled the children, the men, their husbands or their significant others, along with family obligations. So I don't feel like I'm doing anything different, really. I just learned from the best.
So you're a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Explain that to us, being a female at an important position as a wide receiver, and being female. You're cheesing because you want to really answer that question, so go ahead.
I'm cheesing because I'm glad that you realize that that's a very important position, because if you ask a quarterback, they're going to say their position is the most important position, or a lineman. But I agree, it's very important. If it weren't for us, there would be no points on the board, right?
I detect a little sass in that, right?
That's right. But yeah, so what does a wide receiver do? So from a perspective of a person watching a game, or from what I actually do? How do you want me to break it?
Well, actually, let's do the reverse from your perspective as a woman in that position, and also how people watching a female in that position, and actually executing what a male normally does on a football field.
Yeah. So what a female does versus what a male does is there's nothing different. We all, wide receivers, we run routes. So if you're watching a game, you'll see the two women, I'm going to use women, on the end, on either side of the quarterback. And what we're doing is we're running routes that we've practiced and we've learned and watched other players do. So, we have what's called maybe a slant route or a dig or an out. We're running those routes in the quarter, and we're watching the quarterback to make sure that we're in a spot at a certain time open so that we can catch the ball and score, or maybe gain yardage. So it's no different from what a male does. We just don't get the vision that they do, or the dollars.
Wow. So it's the same concept, but different gender. But only thing difference is the pay, right?
That exactly. The only thing different is the pay. It's the pay, the support from the big box entities, and the vision.
You can give a shout out. What team? What is your team?
My team, I play for 3 teams. So my professional team that I'm playing for is the Birmingham Bombshells. It's the WFLA, which is a new league, and this league is going to actually pay women comparable to the men in the NFL to play in this league. They're going to offer insurance, which is another thing that women were not offered to play the sport. Usually, or most likely, women that you see playing the sport, they pay to play. So you're paying for your uniform, you're paying for travel, you're paying to be on the team. It's pay to play. With this league, we're going there.
Wait a minute. This is my first time hearing about that. Is you serious? You have to pay to be on the team in some of the female sports?
I haven't heard of a female football league that actually pays their players a salary.
Wow. Wow.
They definitely don't offer insurance. So this league is a standout because of that, and it's the reason why I am pushing. I'm really happy that I was drafted to be in this league, and happy to be a part of the Birmingham Bombshells, of course. But this fit right in my platform. I love the sport. And I played tackle for a team, and I only played for for a little while because I felt like it wasn't safe, and they weren't offering any insurance, and we're out there and we're playing the game the same way as the men do, and we. The pads, everyone has on different pads. You don't know if there's no regulation on that. And this league is going to offer that for women, to play and to have those, they're not luxuries, but for women that play the sport, they will be considered luxuries. So this is why I am really happy to be a part of that league, and I'm happy to create a platform along with the league to promote what they're doing for women out there that like to play the game.
I know you never really get asked this
you
question.
Cannot believe that.
Huh?
You cannot believe that. Your face is like, I can't believe that. It's true.
Wow. I mean, but why is it not covered in the media like that?
Well, it's starting to become covered in the media like that. Most recently, this league started about 2.5 years ago. We were supposed to have our inaugural season last year, but of course, COVID pushed that back. But you follow the WFLA football on Instagram, and you'll get to see some of the stuff that's being put out, or just follow type. There are a number of sites that you can go to, and you see and people that you can follow on Instagram that are talking about this. It's just that football is kind of like that last sport. So you have the women equality as far as tennis. You have soccer. There are even women that box. They're starting to speak up and and push for changes and some kind of oversight so that they can be treated equal to those male boxers. And it's just that this sport it's like one of the last sports to recognize that there needs to be equality.
So what are your averages on the field?
What are my averages? I don't want to brag. I don't want to brag, but I average about 50 yards a game.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, I am pretty fast and I have good hands. But yeah, and I so far since we've been playing this year, I've averaged at least one touchdown or a pickup after a touchdown a game. So
what type of law you practice?
I'm a corporate attorney now, so I'm no longer litigating in the courtroom, but I do. So corporate attorneys, we have one client, and that's the company that we work for. So we call ourselves the cleanup crew. So, things that happen, we'll get the first word of it. And then if we have to if we want to go to court and litigate, we will, or we'll just, hire outside counsel. We handle all of the contracting in-house. So, it's pretty much a job that I can thankfully do while I'm playing.
Wow, that's amazing. You said it's all about pursuing your dream, balancing both. Tell us about pursuing your dream that can help others pursue theirs.
Sure. So, for my story, I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. I was very athletic myself and my sisters. I played volleyball, I ran track, played a little soccer. But, and we played football, Alabama, everybody plays football there, but it was what I call the organized play. So, we'd play in the evening, at recess, on the weekends, of course. But it wasn't a sport, or sports in general wasn't something that was considered a career move. It's, okay, yeah, you're playing this, you spent half your life, being great, trying to be great at this. And then when you graduate, it's like, okay, what's next? You drop it. And that's what most women do. There's no path. So, I tell people, I don't know what I would have chosen if there had been a path for me to play a sport that I knew I could make a career out of, like football. I've always loved football, but there definitely hasn't been a path for women in that sport. So when I say follow your dream, in general, it means no matter what it is that you want to do, whether it's playing football, but there's no path. Follow that dream and break those doors down. You be the one to go in there and say, hey, look, you need to get a field where women can play football. You need to make sure that we're getting vision. We need to get in those places, in the C-suite, in the boardroom, where we can make decisions at these companies like Gatorade, and initiatives can be cascaded down to other employees. Just recently, Gatorade created an all-female advisory board, and they're addressing attrition within women's sports. Why do women play and become professionals, or not professionals, but become good at sports? But when they finish school, high school, college, it's gone. So they're going to put in some initiatives and try to do some things where women and ladies, young girls, they'll have a succession path or a road to being professional football players. So follow your dream. Follow your dream. These ladies did. I am. Well, I mean, it's late, but a dream never dies, right?
Right. Of course, in any dream, job, profession, you have obstacles. Tell us about the obstacles you faced while pursuing your two professions.
So I do have to admit, some of the obstacles may have been self-inflicted. There was this, when I started playing, I wasn't, it was 5-6 years ago, I wasn't as seasoned in my legal career. So I started doing this, and I wouldn't tell anyone that I worked with. I was the only Black female in my business unit, is what they call it. And I was fortunate to have an executive role, and it just was not something that was acceptable or talked about amongst men. Me playing football, the first guy, male that I told, he laughed, and he said, oh, okay, you play in the lingerie league. And I'm like, no, I don't. Tackle football.
Well, some men would look forward to seeing you in the lingerie bowl. I mean, not gonna lie.
But why is that the first thing that you go to? So. But
then again, it's kind of like it's what's really out there, what men can relate to, instead of the serious football, and they associate the two, if you know what I mean by that. And some people will call it sexist, but that's how men associate the football league of women's football. The number one thing is lingerie, and the other thing is like, oh, okay, is that pay-per-view or stuff like that?
I'm out here changing that. I'm changing that stereotype. Out there, that ball. We get dirty too. We don't just run around in lingerie. But those women, I'm taking nothing from those women, because I know a lot of those women, and they are ballers, and they are pushing to make sure that the sport is taken more seriously with women.
Tell us about erasing that stigma, what we just talked about. Talk a little bit about, yeah, the
How do
league
we?
that you're in right now. How can you erase that stigma?
The way that it's I think the way to erase this stigma is to do what I'm doing now. Get on these calls, talk to people like you that are interested in hearing about it, let them know that there are these leagues where women aren't playing with in lingerie, and to practice what I preach. Get on the phone with the Gatorade, get on the phone with Nike, get on the phone with these entities that support sports and say, hey, look, take a look at what's going on over here. Let's get some vision here and let's get some sponsors and put some money over here and let's help, get this going.
So you can be broadcast on major networks like ABC, NBC, CBS, or even some local channels. So people can can actually play. Pay more attention to it. I'm tongue tied.
And just know that it's out there. Just know it's out there. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest hurdle. Is getting the word out that there are women out there that play football, tackle, fully with full tackle gear on. So
2 years from now, where you see yourself in the two professions you are currently in?
2 years from now, I see myself as an attorney, just advocating for pay equity in this sport for women. And speaking to young ladies that are interested in the sport, helping them to walk that path without having some of those obstacles that I'm facing right now. Not only am I playing the game, but I'm also trying to break down some of these doors, that stopping these ladies from going out there playing and getting paid for what they do. And I want to be known as one of those women that stood up and kicked that door down. I want one of these women to make the same pay as a quarterback for the New England Patriots. I don't want to name names, so.
Oh, because we're Chicago fans here. Bear fan. No, I'm just.
So, Chicago, you made a great pick. Let's see what you do this year. I just might be a Chicago Bears fan this year. We'll see.
Okay, and I couldn't help but to see back there you bench press. What are you bench pressing?
Oh, I can bench 120. 120.
Wow. Okay.
That's not the most I've seen, but I'm working on getting it up there.
Oh wow! And not only do I see that, I see dumbbells and all kinds of stuff back there. So you really got that she cave going on back there, huh?
Yeah, and it goes back to what you said. How do you balance it? Okay, this is going to help me be able to get ready to be on that field without having to, I can come down and do a workout if I can't make it to a gym or something, So that balancing.
Right, and then you can take it out on the dumbbells and bench press and stuff like that, right? That judge,
I expect to see you at some of these games, Raymond.
Huh?
I expect to see you at these games that I'm going to be playing.
Well, you know what? Give us a schedule. Let's see how my schedule fits, and I would love to come. And I would love to see you to come back on the show in our studios to tell us about it and tell us more about the profession because I think a lot of people should know about it. So please give intellectualradio.com/iHeartRadio station where they can get a hold of you and the team, where they can get tickets and stuff like that.
Sure. So you can reach me. You can get in contact with me. And this is for any of you young ladies that are looking to maybe talk about playing or want to talk about how to get involved in some of the activities that are going on. You can reach out to me on IG at Misfit Warrior. That's 2 S's, 2 T's, Misfit. You can also hit me up on Facebook, Misfit Warrior again. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on what is it? I'm on all platforms, and you can use Misfit Warrior. I was fortunate enough to be able to.
We gotta talk. If we had enough time, we were going to talk about that misfit part. Like
we didn't get to that. And then if you want to follow the league, please follow the league. It's WSLA Football on IG, and then follow the Birmingham Bombshell. That's BHAM_Bombshell on IG.
All right. Don't be a stranger to the Drive at 5. You have a good one, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, that's going to do it for us on the Drive at 5 on the intellectualradio.com/iHeartRadio station. You guys have a wonderful week. Next week, we will have in studio T.O. Hardeman to talk about the issues relating to Chicago violence. You guys have a wonderful week. God bless.